All right. First off, I want to thank everybody who's been watching all of the videos I've been making on writing. I normally release them every Wednesday and every Sunday. This past week, I did one on Friday. I'm probably for the near future, so the next 2, 3 weeks, do Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. I'll do that schedule. However, that means I need more topics. I have a bunch of topics written down, but it is not like I'm going to have a billion topics about writing. So give me some ideas. I would appreciate that. Also, hit the subscribe button and watch all of the other videos as much as you possibly humanly can. Okay, now that we've got all of that out of the way, we are talking about writer's block. Now, over the years, I've talked to writers who are like, I don't have writer's block. I write. I've never not written. I've never not had an idea in my head. Blah blah blah. That is awesome. Good for you. Most writers I'm talking about, if they're being honest, they have what we call writer's block. Okay, and you might have it for a few hours. You might have it for a day or two. You might have it for months, years. I went through about 5 years in the late 90s into the 2000s, into the aughts, where I didn't write at all. I didn't write a word. I mean, I like, you know what I'm saying. I wrote no fiction, nothing. I was so beaten down in my life. The depression was just kicking the crap out of me. Relationships kicking the crap out of me. Trying to raise 3 kids, on and on and on. Awful. And when I got back into it, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get writer's block. And I got writer's block. I went through several days or maybe a week or two where I just couldn't write. I wanted to. You know, there's a difference between being lazy. There's a difference between instead of writing today, I'm going to lay on the couch. I'm going to read all day. I'm going to play with my cats. I'm going to watch Netflix shows. That has nothing to do with writer's block. That's just you being lazy. Writer's block is when you sit down at the computer and you're like, I'm going to write something. I'm going to finish this chapter. I'm going to start a new book. I'm going to start a new short story. I'm going to write something today. And the ideas just don't come. And you're hovering, you're ready to go, and it's just not there. Okay? And it's all out of your head. It's nothing. Okay? You have no clue what the next word is going to be writing. Okay? And a lot of times that has to do with things out of your control. Okay? That has to do with all the stuff that I mentioned, you know, kids, family, work, life, depression, whatever your struggle is. And those things are basically taking up a lot of headspace. And all your ideas and all your great story thoughts are being blocked behind the wall of all of that garbage. And that's not good. Okay. And again, I've had it. I've had it a lot. Over the years, I've learned how to deal with it for myself. Again, Armand's opinion. This is my opinion on stuff. I've had a couple of videos where people have given me their opinion on stuff. I'm like, that's awesome. Different opinion than I have, but guess what? Make your own YouTube channel, Bob. Bob's opinion. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I found over the years that if I write more than one story at a time, okay, if I have more than one project open, then I'm able to bounce around on stories and what I'm getting a feel for. Okay, so there's sometimes where I'm just like, I got this little idea and it's gonna be just a short story, and then I'm like, all right, I just kind of keep it in the back of my head because again, I'm a complete pantser. There's no outlines for me. There's no planning at all. So I might have an idea, that what if moment. And I'm like, okay, what if whatever. And so I'll sit down and I'll go, all right, what am I going to work on today? Well, that idea is still kind of nagging me. Let me just write 400 or 500 words on it. Let me see if I can get a page of this written. And then I sit down and I write that. And then that kind of kicks off the creative juices flowing. And then later on that day, I might stay with it, or I might go, you know what? As I'm doing this, as I was thinking of this other book I was writing, or this other short story, or this novella, whatever, I'm going to jump back into that. And it's that kick that really starts me going. Because sometimes I'll sit down, cup of coffee. All right, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's start being creative. Let's make millions. And I got nothing. I am, my ideas are just, I don't know where they are. I'm reading a part of a book and I'm like, I don't even know where I am in this book. I don't even know who these characters are. I know nothing right now mentally about this story at all. So there is a, I don't know what you would call it, an exercise, maybe we'll call it. Sometimes I have an exercise where I just, if I'm in a story, right? I'm in a book, I'm writing a book in it, and I know the characters, kind of know them. Sometimes I'll do an extra where I go, you know what? What if these two characters, it could be minor characters, doesn't matter. What if these two characters are sitting in a cafe having a conversation? What if these two characters are sitting in a car in front of the gas station? What if these two people are on a boat? What if these people, whatever? It doesn't matter what the setting is, any of that, because all I'm going to do is I'm going to just sit down and I'm going to start writing dialogue back and forth for these two people. And the conversation could be about anything. A lot of times it's about what me and my wife maybe talked about the night before. Maybe I actually left the house at some point this week and I overheard a snippet of a conversation, because I absolutely love to eavesdrop on other people's conversations. So what if I heard something like that and I'm like, you know what? This is also something that's kind of been in the back of my head, this conversation that really won't maybe fit in a book or anything. Doesn't fit into the novel I'm writing, but it's just something I want to write. And then I will just start writing. And I find that a few hundred words into it, again, the creative juices, they begin to flow. And I say, I know these characters. Let me put this off to the side and let me write in that book. Okay. And I'll jump into that book. And I say 9 times out of 10, at some point, I go back to that Google Doc with that conversation and I just dump it right into the middle of this book somewhere, and I will rewrite it. Okay. The conversation will make more sense, maybe, or it'll be one of the characters will be changed, whatever, but it is never wasted. Anything you write is never wasted. It's giving you experience, it's giving you practice. It's also helping you get over that hump of, being stuck, not knowing what these characters are doing. Okay. So if I had an outline in front of me, maybe it would be easier. I think I would be bored with the story, writing it, but I think it would be easier to just go in and just plug in. I don't know what chapter 8 is going to be. Let me go to chapter 15 and I know what these characters do. Whatever. I would imagine it would be easier to fill in the blanks on that one, to connect the dots. I just don't think it would be as exciting as a writer to do it that way. So I like to go, okay, I'm on chapter 8 and I know, who's my point of view character here? And I'll literally write that. I will literally write Bob, POV, point of view, POV. I'm leaving that in. And then maybe I'll go, well, I just had a fight with these two characters. So we're going to, maybe the next chapter after this, after the Bob chapter, will be about this. And I might do 3 or 4 chapters where I'm, I guess, technically making an outline, but all it is which character head am I in for that chapter. That's all it is. It's just a list that way. So sometimes if I jump in and I'm like, all right, I just last night I wrote this chapter about Bob. We hit a point at the end of this. We don't know what he's doing, where he's going. It's a little bit of a cliffhanger. Hopefully the reader will keep reading. And I know 3 or 4 chapters after this, we're going to get back to Bob. And since I wrote this yesterday, basically all morning or last night before I went to bed, whatever, I thought, hey, this would be kind of neat to do with Bob's character. And then I just jump in and I'll just start writing that chapter. So I'll skip 3 chapters and I'll start writing that chapter. And, the idea is every chapter needs to have something exciting, something moving the story along. Today, for instance, I was writing in one of my novels and I hit a bump. I'm like, I don't know what to do here. I have no clue what's going to happen next with any of these characters. I got like 5 or 6 characters I can write the next chapter. I have nothing. And so I just jumped into a short story that I had been on and off working on for a couple weeks. And I just wrote like 500 more words on it. I'm like, perfect. This is enough. This is enough. Boom. And I didn't sit down and start writing that book again, but I did sit on the couch and I watched the Red Sox game. And while I'm sitting there, my brain is always working, and I'm like, you know what? What if this happens? And then what would be the consequences of this with this character and this character? And then it all just started. And all of a sudden, I commercial break. I came in, I sat down, and I basically outlined more or less the next 4 or 5 chapters, where it's Bob and Bill get into the fight. Bob gets stabbed. Chapter after that is so and so finds Bill clinging for life. Whatever. But I had the next like 4 or 5 chapters that were like just bang, 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 bang. I knew where it was going. I knew where the story was going, and what the reactions would be. And you try to make them that it's not a color by number, and exactly what's happening in the story. So you got to throw in, some other things. You got to throw in a couple of little minor twists or something, and maybe the characters aren't going to react like the reader's expecting them to. And it can't be totally, completely different from what you'd think, but maybe there's something that surprises the reader. And as a writer, you want to be surprised as well. So that helps me. Again, when there's days where I don't write, it's not because of writer's block. It's generally just I'm lazy. It's just generally I'm depressed. It's generally, hey, it's Saturday and my wife is home. It's the only day I get to see her all week, so I'm not going to write today. Maybe I got up a couple hours before she did, but I'm like, why am I going to sit down and force this? And I probably could write. I just don't want to. I'm like, I don't have to push and push and push. I don't. I did a video. One of the first videos maybe was how I write 400,000 words in a year. I don't want to write 500,000 words. I don't want to write 1 million words in a year. I feel like that would be rushing it. I feel like that would be pushing it. So as I've gotten older, I've traded in a little bit more laziness, and I've also traded in a little bit more what I want to call quality versus quantity. Okay, so I'm kind of toning it down, and I think that is also something that's going to help me with when I hit those spots where I get those writer's block spots, where I say, you know what, I have no idea what this is doing. Now, the good part is you can't see, but I have a dry erase board I've had here for many years, and it has every project that's currently open. Okay. Now I have a spreadsheet also with all the list of those. But this is a visual reminder for me to look at this and go, okay, what is open? What do I need to write? What do I need to play with? Okay. And then I'll look over and I'll go, oh, let me finish this. Let me do this or let me do that. And it helps me to kind of organize in my head real quick of what really needs to be worked on. What are the things that need to be worked on? so that it's fresh, so that I'm not bored, so that I'm not like, oh, I'm working on one project. I know a ton of authors who literally will sit down and write one book, okay, at a time. And like for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months, however long, I'm just writing every day. I'm writing on this book. I don't do that. I think that would drive me nuts. So whether it's flash fiction, whether it's a short story, whether it's a novella, whether it's a novel, doesn't matter. It's all getting worked on, and most days 2 or 3 different projects are going to get worked on. The only exception to that is when I'm editing. I have that day is usually a total day of editing and going through the beta readers and the editor's notes and whatnot. But otherwise, if I'm writing, I can write several projects. I mean, I've had days where I've written like 500 words on average in like 6-7 different projects for that day. I've done like 4,000 words on that day, but like 7 different projects. So I can do it. And a lot of times I start my day, I sit down with my cup of coffee. After I do my coffee of the day video, which is my shorts on YouTube, you should watch those. I'll sit and I'll look at my board and I'll say, April, what's coming out? I have my list of everything in the next 18 months kind of penciled in, when things should be released. A lot of times that changes, but I mean, it's kind of like, here's the kind of the idea, the breakdown of it. And then here's all the stuff right down the middle that is stuff that I need to work on, stuff that I need to finish. There's no crazy deadlines for me right now, which is great, but it's also a bad thing. Sometimes I need that deadline. Sometimes I do a self-imposed deadline. I have one more book with Severed Press as I'm recording this, and I am about 2/3 of the way done with that book, maybe a little more. So really, I could probably, if I just focused on that in the next like week, that book would be done. I probably won't do that because I don't want to just, I just don't want to just knock it out. I don't want to phone it in. I just want to write a good book. So that being said, writer's block for me is not, it is a real thing. A lot of people, oh, that's not a real thing. I remember watching a video or talking to somebody or whatever, and I think I've even mentioned this in another video where I say the farmer doesn't have farmer's block. The farmer doesn't ever get up in the morning and go, hey, I can't, I have no idea how to milk cows this morning. I have no idea how to plow a field. I have no idea how to churn butter. I don't know, whatever farmers do. Or the Amish. I don't know. So you look at it that way and like, no, they're still getting up and going to work. It's a job. This is a job. This is my career. This is how I make money. Okay. Writing is my passion. Writing is something that I love to do, which is a good thing to do when you're looking at this as a moneymaker, a career. So, I mean, that's the bottom line for me. I deal with writer's block because I just pick a different project. I'm writing on different things. I keep it fresh. I write live 3 or more days a week on YouTube Live in the afternoons. And I got people in the chat and we're talking, and I'm kind of talking to them and telling stories and not making a lot of sense. And I'm also thinking of the next story and the next story, the next idea of what I'm jumping to. And a lot of times, over 2 hours of writing, I'm just like, I'm not into this story anymore. Let me jump. And I just jump to another story, and I'm somewhere else. So that is, that's the thing. Again, I want to thank everybody for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. Keep throwing ideas at me. Watch all of them. See what I haven't touched on yet. If you have something specific that you are working on as a writer, if this is your first video of me, I've been doing this for over 40 years. 1988 was my first short story published. And this is my 15th year able to write full-time without having to go out and get a job. So hit the subscribe button, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear your pros and cons. What's your way of fighting through writer's block? Or do you have it and you can't get past it? You know what? Let me know.